Hare Krishna. Give yourself the freedom to hear about the wounds caused by freedom. Freedom is a universally cherished value, and especially in today's world, whenever the word is freedom is attached to anything, everybody, most people actually come in support of that cause. So, for example, somebody speaks offensively about something or someone, and some people who are considered sacred, or some icons that are considered sacred, and then if such criticism is portrayed as freedom of expression, then people come out in support, irrespective of how insensitive or hurting such speech might be for someone else. Similarly, if we consider the effects of sensuality in today's world, sensual licentiousness is glamorized, as for example the right for free love or free sex. And because the word free is attached to it, the opposite of it, I mean any kind of regulation, that is considered to be as a deprivation of freedom, and thus it becomes not only deglamorized but often gets demonized. So anyone who recommends any kind of sexual regulation, sensual discipline, they are considered to be as opponents of freedom. However, if we are really concerned about freedom, say freedom of expression, then there should be freedom of expression even for those who point out the great costs of freedom. The great cause of freedom that is undisciplined, freedom that is excessive, freedom that is selfish basically. So for example, in the name of free love, there is so much promiscuity, and what is the result of that? Although free love is a freely and widely touted word, actually there are very few lasting loving relationships. Most people in the name of free love don't hardly ever develop the love necessary for committed relationships. And the end result of such free love is that people feel lonely, people feel guilty, people feel used. They use others and others use them for gratifying their bodily itches. So essentially, actually, the psychological as well as the sociological cause of such irresponsible freedom are severe. Psychologically, people feel guilty, lonely, isolated, deserted, although their bodies may come in contact with many other bodies, but their hearts are not touched. And sociologically, it leads to rupture of families, it leads to children without proper parents, and the whole social fabric gets disrupted. So if we are truly concerned about freedom, then there should be freedom to talk about and hear about the consequences of unrestricted freedom, of irresponsible freedom, of basically this free love is not actually freedom, it is simply selfishness, it is selfish sensuality masquerading as freedom. The Bhagavad-gita tells us that actually by regulation we can rise upwards. In 2.64 the Bhagavad-gita states, Raga Dvesha Vimuktaistu Vishayan Indriyais Charan Atma Vashair Vidhe Atma Prasadam Adhigacchati. It says Raga Dvesha. I like this, I don't like this. Vimuktaistu. We shouldn't be governed entirely just by our likes and dislikes. Vishayan Indriyais Charan. The senses naturally move toward the sense object. Atma Vashair. One brings that under control. How? Vidhe Atma. By following scripture. Srila Prabhupada, they translate this as the regulative principles of freedom. This is what happens by such regulation. Prasadam adhigacchati. Prasad. Prasad can refer to mercy, it can refer to purity, it can also refer to liberty. Actually, when we get mercy, we attain purity, and in purity lies true liberty. because when we get the mercy refers to the higher taste. When we practice, when we learn to regulate our life according to scripture, and we mold our life to practice bhakti yoga as is described in scripture, then we connect with Krishna, who is the source of the supreme happiness. And by connecting with him, when by his mercy we get the higher taste, then that higher taste brings purity. Purity means that we are no longer afflicted, tormented by our lower desires. And then we attain liberty. Because then we become free, liberated from the lower desires that bring out the worst within us. And thus we can act freely to bring out the best within us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.